More rents. Saving America from ourselves. I thought about doing this one before, but recently, with the news about the latest things going on in Afghanistan and the fact that the military and a lot of the diplomats and people got, and the intelligence people got sucked in by some kind of con man who pretended to represent the Taliban and all the rest of that, and the General Petraeus, who's supposedly this great general, and all this other stuff, and it's just more fuck up. And now, one of the things that's sort of wrong with Obama and our last few presidents, is an absence of military service. And it's not because, it makes you a big thing to be a veteran. That's not what the problem is. It's not like being a veteran stamps some kind of thing on you. Makes you more American. It's just like any other activity. If you have a certain experience, it enriches who you are in a kind of way. And that's what we need, we need that enrichment. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, right from the beginning when Obama came in office, it was very clear that the military just walked all over him. And the whole history of his relationship to the military in Afghanistan, McChrystal or whatever his name was, is leaking stuff to the press outside the chain of command. And the White House, I don't know if there's anybody in the White House that's close to Obama that's been in the military, understands this kind of stuff. But I'm going to give you some straight talk about it, okay? Now you're going to wonder, well, where did Wendt get into this? What's his service? Well, the fact was I was very lucky. I got 3 years at the Air Force Academy as a cadet and then 3 years in the reserves. That's my military experience. But the thing is that the 3 years at the Air Force Academy was a course in leadership. And I don't mean rah-rah leadership, but I mean the nitty-gritty reality of it. We watched movies, we had conversations. We'd sit around. This was in our very beginning days of the Air Force Academy. We'd sit around and talk about whether or not, for example, the purpose of an academy is to create second lieutenants or managers in the bureaucracy of the military or generals. And then what is a general? Got lots of generals, got a lot of people walking around the Pentagon with stars, got a lot of guys running wars and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then there's the guy we call the commander-in-chief. And if the commander-in-chief doesn't understand the culture of the military, its fundamental aspects, then he's not going to be able to deal with the generals. The generals are going to walk all over him. In fact, one of the things that happens today to generals in the military is they get to be good politicians. They shouldn't be politicians at all. But the only person that can swat them down for acting like politicians, and they do it because they're tempted, there's a lot of things out there that want to make them into political creatures. Guys with a lot of stars or stripes on their sleeve or whatever it is that makes them admirals and generals, they got one business, and that business is being really good at killing people. That's it. And it's the threat of that keeps other people in line, and the fact that we can do that if we have to, that makes us powerful. We got to have guys on our side who can go out and punch somebody out. And history has shown to us, that you can't give the puncher out guys too much latitude, because they can get a little bit in their head that they may be a little bit smarter than anybody else. We can look back at history and we can see where generals tried to run governments. You got Napoleon and you got Caesar and all the rest of that. As part of the understanding of that, why the founders made the president commander-in-chief. Washington understood this clearly, You put The general's job is to be a general, not to be a politician, and not to be the chief officer of the republic. He works for the republic, but he's not supposed to run the republic. Now, what should Obama have done when he came in office? Well, there's a word. You know, and I don't know how many services use this word, and I imagine people in the services that will know this word. It's called a buck-up. A new commander comes along and he does a buck-up. And he does the buck-up because he needs to assert himself. And he needs to let the people know that he's now put in charge of, that he's in charge. You know? So he inspects. He gives people a hard time, you know. He makes them stick to the rules. He gets a little tough. You want to see a film about that? Watch 12 O'Clock High with Gregory Peck. Shows up on the base, and the first thing he does is he takes the stripes away from the guy at the gate who's going to let him come in without demanding him to see his ID. Just because he sees it's a general officer coming in the door. All right? Now, when Obama came in office, he should have called the generals over and just told them, "You work for me. Here's my rules." But he hadn't been in the military. He didn't understand the idea of the buck-up. He didn't understand what it means to command military men. Now, they understand it. You come in, and you're their boss, and you don't sit on them. They'll start stealing your underwear when you're not looking. Because they know you got something. Well, it's not that you got something, it's you don't got something. You know? Another movie one can watch is 14 Days or 13 Days or whatever it is, about the problem the Kennedys had in the 60s during the Cuban Missile Crisis with the military. Generals like to win. And if you let them play politics, they'll like to win at politics. Can't let them do that. They need to know who's boss. Obama should have walked in, took a look at the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and just fired one of them on principle. Just to let them know. You know? The whole military chain of command would have gone, "Whoa, who's this guy? He knows something about how we work over here." And that's one of the problems Obama has now with Afghanistan. They're running all around, they're doing all this stuff over there, and Obama doesn't know how to keep his military leaders in line. And this has been a problem throughout the history of the United States, you know. Other presidents have had the same problem. The facts of the matter are pretty simple. If you're president, you're commander-in-chief, and the first thing you need to do with the military people is let them know you're commander-in-chief. More later.